right, welcome back, everybody. It's time for a Grassroots Citizen panel, and joining me in studio is author, commentator, Candace Chambers-Belida. Good to see you, Candace.
Good to see you.
Also in studio is Jordan Bostic, president of the political website Vocalize.com. What does Vocalize mean?
Vocalize is a political social networking site. We allow anyone, liberal, conservative, to create news articles, and then we promote them for you.
All right, Vocalize with a K.
Yes.
All right, and in studio with a serious look on his face is One America News correspondent Gabe Soltero. Gabe sitting in for our liberal guest who's having some traffic issues right now.
Yes,
Gabe, good to see you, Gabe.
Glad to fill in, Rick.
All right, you can smile. You let us smile on here.
I can once in a while.
All right, so let's start with the tragedy happening in America's heartland. Of course, 18-year-old young man was shot and killed. He's said to have been unarmed. There's just reports disputing whether he attacked a police officer, whether he did not. Riots, looting, people going on Twitter, Facebook, etc., saying that let's riot in a white neighborhoods, not the black. What they're doing is creating racial polarization over this whole story. We'll start with Gabe Soltero. Gabe, what do you take on it? I mean, this is supposed to be the post-racial President Obama. I'm not so sure race relations are any better today than they were 6 years ago. In fact, I think they may be worse.
Well, you know, I think I'll surprise you with this, and I'll say that I will agree with you on that. But I think you really have to take a step back and ask, is this Trayvon Part 2?
Right.
And I think that it may be. It's a very similar situation. You have a young black male that is gunned down in his prime, and you have the racial tensions that already exist in America just brought to the surface. And I really think that no matter who is in the White House, those racial tensions are still going to exist, and we need to look at the root cause of why they exist before we can, move on from there.
And let's go to Candace. I agree with what Gabe said. We need to look at the root cause of why they exist. This president and Eric Holder pretended to be those types of leaders, and it was all just pretend.
Well, I think, obviously what happened was a major tragedy. My condolences to the family and everything. But the issue here is when we have these types of crises, when these types of events happen, the minorities need to come together in unity, in peace. Because what happens is when they go out and they start to riot or they start to do particular events that cause destruction or whatever, even though their voice is definitely being heard, and we hear you, but the issue is that it's undermining the true cause of unity, of peace, of being able to say, look, there's an injustice here and we need to do something about it.
Is it unfair for someone to say that the rioting that we see, the minorities in outside of St. Louis is a rush to judgment?
Well, in a sense, it is a rush to judgment. I mean, you have to be fair. Justice is justice. It doesn't know color. And so you have to be able to allow the system to work and find out what all the information is. Now, obviously, there were eyewitnesses of what took place and everything. But the point is, let's do it orderly, because that voice is a lot louder than when you do things in an irrational manner, when you do things in a violent manner, because then nobody listens, you see.
And in addition, it's the black neighborhood that's getting hurt.
Absolutely. I mean, why would you destroy your own neighborhood? I mean, it takes time to build those things up, and so that's ridiculous.
Jordan Bostic, not sure where you want to come at this topic, what angle you want to come from it on, but I want to come back to what Gabe had said, that no matter who is in the White House, those underlying issues in America exist. But what concerns me is that this White House has used race as a reason to divide America, not get at those underlying issues.
Exactly. I mean, I think this is an issue that should not be politicized at all, and it's unfortunate that, people rioting in the streets and politicians making a comment before we've even been able to review what happened and do an investigation on this. It's unfortunate because now you have two different sides that are, really gearing up and ready for a battle over whether this guy was innocent or what happened. And I just think this whole situation deserves a real investigation rather than the prejudgment on both sides.
Before we change gears here, we all agree that there's a problem still exists no matter who's in the White House. At least I believe we all agree. But can we also all agree that the election of Barack Obama did show progress in America?
I believe it did to a degree. I mean, in the sense that the black community highlighted the fact that he was going to be the president. And I think that he could have crossed lines and brought all races together. This was a perfect time to bring the whole world together, in a sense. But instead, we've got fraction, we've got division everywhere.
Well, it was a great opportunity, but in 2008, he crossed racial lines with his support.
You know, Rick, I think one of the biggest failures of President Barack Obama is the fact that he was the first black president, and like you said, he had a chance to bring everyone together. He had a chance to inspire people and say, you know what, I'm the first black president.
Right.
If I can make it, you can make it. And instead, he told everyone that they were victims and that the society is against them and the institution is against them. And, you know, it's just sad because he could have been like a figure to look up to, and instead he just told everyone that, you know, he was an exception and that they can't make it to where he is.
Care to weigh in, Gabe?
Well, I think it definitely was an inspiring moment when Barack Obama became president, and you had people on both sides. You had black, white, Hispanic, people of all different colors coming together to bring him into the office that he holds now. But I think you also have to take into consideration what he is dealing with in office right now. I mean, look at what John Boehner is doing and saying, going against every proposition that Barack Obama puts forward. I mean, it makes it very difficult as a president to continue to manage.
What do you think, Jordan? Should we feel sorry for the president because he has opposition?
No, I think the president is always going to face opposition when it comes from a legislative perspective, but I look at a president as being a leader, and I don't think he has so much. I think he can endorse legislation, you know, he introduces legislation, but what he should stand for first and foremost is a leader and an influence for positive change in the United States.
Candace, should we only support a president when he has both a House and a Senate that agree with him?
I think we should support the president that is doing what he said that he would do, which is stand to defend, not stand to pretend.
All right, let's switch gears here. And I know this is a topic that's important to Candace Chambers. It's important to all of us, but I know it's particularly important to you, Candace, and that is the Christian Holocaust taking place in Iraq. You know, first of all, I believe the Christian population was 1.5 million just a few years, not so long ago. It's now down to some estimates 200,000, and we're not hearing much about it out of this White House. We're not hearing much about it out of this mainstream media. How long will the U.S. wait before they start going in and saving Christians in Iraq?
Well, I think time is running out, and I think that this is one of the most crucial times in our history that Christians are on the sidelines here and they're losing their life. The beheadings, the things that are going on, the atrocities that are happening. Religion and faith is our God-given right. We have a right to believe what we want to believe, and no one has the right to take that away from us. And so I feel that Obama needs to step up. And I mean, he has feelings toward the immigration, toward the humanitarian aid over across the border. Have that same type of sentimentality when it comes to those Christians that are defenseless. They have no help, and they need help. And America has always been one to stand in to defend. And so we might as well do that now, because those Christians there are suffering.
Jordan Bostic, care to weigh in on the Christian Holocaust taking place in Iraq? Well, America just kind of is silent on it.
You know, I think it's pretty interesting that people are criticizing Israel and saying that they're engaging in genocide when there is actual real genocide happening right now with the Christians and with ISIS. And I would also just like to point out, I think it's pretty ridiculous. You know, back in January, President Obama called ISIS the JV team of terrorist groups. And
I forgot all about that.
And now look at where we are.
And on that comment that I forgot about, I'm going to have to rudely interrupt you and go to a break. Sorry about that, Gabe Soltero. All right. It's our Grassroots Citizen Panel. We'll continue with more right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're in the middle of our Grassroots Citizen Panel. I just want to say this to our viewers at home. If you want to continue the conversation after the show with our panel members or myself, then tweet me at Amato Talk. And you can also tweet our guests. Their Twitter handles, their Twitter names will be listed just below their name on a TV screen throughout the segment. So if you want to continue the conversation, you can do so. All right, joining us on the panel in this segment is Democratic political strategist Stephen Kavanaugh. Good to see you, Stephen.
Good to be with you, Rick.
All right, let's hit sort of the pop culture news du jour. It's shocked a lot of people. It's sad to hear Robin Williams commit suicide. Your take on this, Stephen? From my perspective, here's a guy which seemingly had it all, and a tremendously successful individual in Hollywood. You would think he would have been financially well off. It turns out he's under a lot of stress financially. It turned out to be. If Robin Williams is under this kind of problem, you just imagine anyone you meet.
Yeah.
You wonder what's going through their life.
Yeah, you know, it can be really difficult for folks in our shoes to really understand how somebody who makes so many people laugh and brings so many people joy and is so adored worldwide could possibly be struggling with such inner demons. But we see time and again folks in comedy in particular, it seems, just have these struggles, and it just goes to show that we have a lot to learn about depression.
Well, you know what? There's probably a connection there between school shootings and mental health issues. Jordan Bostic, he's being called the Bob Hope of our lifetime. A lot of people aren't aware that Robin Williams, quietly in his own private time and energy, gave his time to our armed forces to entertain the men and women overseas. Your thoughts on all this?
You know, I think at this point, we can look back and honor him for the great things he did like that and some of the great work that he was a part of. I know I grew up watching a lot of his shows, and I was inspired by him, and so I just think that it's best to honor him and remember him for things exactly like that.
Candace, care to weigh in?
I'm with Jordan on that. The amazing thing about Robin Williams is there won't be anyone again like him. He was just a phenomenal actor and comedian, and he touched so many people's lives, brought that type of joy. But it does show us that we have to be aware when someone's hurting. And sometimes that inner circle, isn't quite aware that a person has, a heartness in their heart, problems in their heart, and that they are suffering. And so, we have to keep our eyes open just a little bit more and be able to help that person in need.
Well, it sounds like good advice for all of us. Switching gears, talking about keeping your eyes open. It sure seems like no one is keeping their eyes open in this Obama White House. First, we see missing email from the IRS, then the EPA, now the Health and Human Services Department. A top official of the Obama White House has been found deleting healthcare.gov email. Stephen Kavanaugh, Democratic political strategist, what I find amazing about this story is that for the last 5 years, not for the last 3 or 4 years, those on the left have mocked the right. Scandal, what scandal, phony scandal. Had the Bush administration done anything near this, they'd have been lampooned, ridiculed, you name it. Where's the outrage here?
Well, they did do stuff near that, and they were ridiculed and lampooned. But the fact of the matter is that wrongdoing is wrongdoing, whether it's from a Democratic or Republican administration. And I think that if we want government to work, which I have said time and again, that we on the left absolutely do, that we have to hold people accountable.
So would you support an independent investigation of the IRS?
I'm just finding out facts about this, but from what it looks and sounds like, I would say yes.
All right, well, that's a great admission. How about that, Jordan Bostic?
Yeah,
Democratic political strategist says, I support, so far from what I've seen, an independent investigation of the IRS.
It was actually great to hear someone that on the left say that, because I completely agree. I think that we should have an independent investigation, and I'm also wondering why more people on the left aren't coming out with your exact position on this, because, you know, the president's poll numbers are dropping. People are starting to really see how corrupt our government can be. And coming out and saying that you're willing to criticize or hold people accountable is exactly what the people need to hear.
Well, it's critically important if we progressives want government to do more. It better work and it better be accountable. And I tell you what, I think that, first things first, when it comes to technology, it's amazing how when somebody wants to get a hold of something digitally, they'll find it no matter who deletes it. So most emails should exist on a central server, central database forever.
They're out there somewhere.
And if there was, I would not say corruption. I would say probably incompetence is what is most serially committed on the federal level that folks are trying to see why.
We're down to less than 10 seconds. Corruption or incompetence?
I say corruption.
Well, let's get that independent investigation to find out if it's incompetence or corruption. Either way, it's not good for the Democratic Party.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't think. I agree with you. If you're making a point, let's have bigger government. You better have bigger government that works and works for the people. All right, I want to thank our Grassroots citizen panel. Democratic political strategist Stephen Kavanaugh, Vocalize.com president Jordan Bostic, and author, commentator Candace Chambers-Belida. Thanks for being part of the panel. And I want to thank you, our viewers, for watching. We are right back at you again tomorrow night, same time. And now I leave you with our Amato Mio moment of the day, the genius of Robin Williams.
I love talking to him, don't you, Chris Walker?
Because punctuation is gone. A friend once saw him. He was standing in a puddle with his socks, and everything is just in his socks. And a friend said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Today, I'm an alligator."
Here we are, Robin Leach, Lifestyles of the Unusual and Funny. We are back at someone's backyard talking louder than anyone we've ever known.
Greetings, Fonzie. Remember me, Mork from Ork? You once called me the Nutso from outer space.
My name is T.S. Garp.
What's TS stand for?
Terribly sexy.
Here's the news flash. Today, President Lyndon Johnson passed a highway beautification bill. The bill basically said that his daughters could not drive in a convertible on public highways.